Trey Lance. The question is, should the 49ers use Trey Lance against the Seahawks? And I'm not trying to be a troll here. The reason is no Debo. And my thought process is no Debo, no explosive plays, no big play. And while you don't necessarily need the big play, to win without the big play requires excellent execution across the board, right? Third down, red zone. I mean, it's tough. You have to have like a 3 or 4 or 5 really long drives. But with Trey Lance, if they could sprinkle him in, he does represent the big play threat, both with his legs and his arm. I'm trying to think, how do you supplement the big play without Debo? And this is where mine goes. A little bit of Trey. Is that crazy? Or are there other ways to do this without him?
I think that it depends very much on how the offense looks and the game flow. And what I'm going to point to is the home opener against the Packers. 1 yard, 4th down, before the half, gotta have it. And you call the Trey Lance run to the pylon, you get Trent Williams in front of him, and you get it done. I think that's where you see it. And that all depends on how the offense is moving. If Jimmy has this offense moving and Elijah Mitchell is ripping off run after run and they're efficient in the red zone as they've been, then you won't see Trey. But if they start to struggle a little bit and Kyle starts to feel like, okay, I need a play right here, I need this, then you'll see that. But it has to be one of those goal-to-goal situations. I'm going to point to what Kyle Shanahan said in terms of, here's the thing, right? And this is where I kind of agree with Kyle a little bit on this. Both quarterbacks need rhythm. Both of them. Like Jimmy Garoppolo needs to be in there and Jimmy Garoppolo needs to make a mistake and then get better from it, right? Like he needs the rhythm. He needs to keep playing to get a little bit better. Same for Trey. Trey can't be brought in there in and out willy-nilly and everything as well too. Besides that, the offensive line has to block completely different when he's back there. When Trey's back there, they're trying to block really quick while Trey's trying to make a play with his legs. Jimmy's not going to try that. And that's where it kind of gets into trouble. So when Kyle says it depends, I get into a rhythm as a play caller when I have one guy in there. And I kind of agree with him on that part. But I will tell you this, if the offense starts to sputter, let's just say there's a portion of this game where the 49ers need a play and it's a red zone play like that, I wouldn't be shocked if you saw Trey. But I think that the only reason you would see Trey is if this offense is not clicking as well as it has been the last few weeks.
Yeah. Look, here's the way I look at it. With Trey Lance, from Kyle's perspective, how can he have confidence in Jimmy? I mean, you can have confidence in your team, but Jimmy's 1-4 against Seattle. Jimmy's gotten hurt the last 2 times against Seattle. That was this year. So while you feel like you have a plan A that includes Jimmy Garoppolo the whole way and nothing bad happening and an easy victory, what if he struggles? What if he gets hurt again? Like, don't you have to be prepared for those contingencies? And it doesn't have to be like weighing on your mind. What if they just have Jimmy's number? What if this is a bad matchup for Jimmy? I don't know. What if I shut down my run game and Jimmy starts to do bad Jimmy things? What do I do?
You have to.
You can't lose this game. You cannot lose this game. It's out of the question.
This is the biggest game of the year. This is the biggest game of the year for multiple reasons. Obviously, the history between the two teams, but this has always been the litmus test for the 49ers. And let me explain what I mean by that. In 2019, after the 49ers had done everything that they had done and they won that Week 17 game, that team felt like, okay, now that's it. We've climbed the hurdle. Now who are we afraid of? We're not afraid of anybody now. And I think that this team needs to be looking at it in the same way. And this team is always going to be compared to how did you do it against Seattle, especially in Seattle. Winning a game in Seattle would springboard this team to, okay, bring on the Falcons, bring on the Texans, bring on whoever's next. We're not scared now. Now you become that team that everybody doesn't want to play when it comes to the playoffs. So this is the biggest game of the year.
But if you lose to Seattle for the second time this year and you
same old 49ers.
Then they would be 4 and whatever. 2 of their 4 wins would be against you. Come on, man. You can't lose this game. So if things are going weird, you can't keep Jimmy in there for the sake of his trade value. You got to make a switch. I'm saying Jimmy could get benched in this game. You cannot mess around. He's had some stinkers against Seattle. And without Debo, I just feel like I don't know why we're going to expect the best of Jimmy. That's his guy. He's really played his best with Jimmy on this team. He's put up big numbers with Debo.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to choose to be optimistic here. I'm going to choose to think that, obviously that they're going to try to supplant this loss of Debo with a lot more Ayuk. This has to be a George Kittle game. This has to be a game where George Kittle gets targeted more. You cannot just use him as a blocker this game. I understand the whole idea of what he creates in the run game. Trust me, I do. I understand that. But this cannot be a game where you allow Brandon Ayuk and Elijah Mitchell to take all those hits and continue to be the guy if nobody else steps up behind him, because it better be a Jeff Wilson game back here. But Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to make throws, and you're going to have to find a way to get George Kittle involved in this game. They'll design some plays for him. Get Kyle Juszczyk involved. Kyle Juszczyk's the only fullback that you can run up the seam, which you saw this week, and actually hit him on passes.
That's the explosive play now that Debo's out. It's Juszczyk.
It's got to be. I mean, get that wheel route back, right? Like even that 2019 game, you can look at it, right, and say, well, Seattle starts to get back in the game, and Kyle's like, all right, I've got to shut this off right now. And he runs that wheel route with Juszczyk on Kendricks, boom, big play, and get you right back into your running game. So again, it's all hands on deck. You've got to find a way to game plan around this. You can't allow this Debo not being here to be the reason you lose this game. You just can't. And again, the 49ers have to win this game. I don't want to overstate the importance, and I understand the history and all that, but you have to win this game. Two reasons you have to win this game. Seattle's absolutely wounded, and they're playing terribly right now. And they have nobody in their backfield at this point. Like, they are so desperate they brought Adrian Peterson in. That's how desperate they are at this point. You have to be able to you have to be able to put a bad team away. Forget the history and everything, but you have to be able to beat a bad team.
Don't tell me you're a contender and you can't beat Seattle. You have 2 chances. Don't tell me that.
Correct.
So that's why I even bring this up. It's like this is a must-win game. It's all hands on deck. If something goes left, don't be surprised if Kyle Shanahan does something surprising. But I don't really expect something to go. The Niners are better than the Seahawks.
They are.
This only happens if like Jimmy throws 2 picks in the first half, which did he do that last year? He did do 1. Anyway.
In the ankle game, I think he threw 1 or 2. Yeah, I think so.